What is up, everybody? I wanted to come to you guys with my AEW review. Um, AEW Dynamite wasn't a good show. AEW Dynamite was a very mid show. This show was just, it was not a good show for AEW Dynamite at all. Um, this was the go home show leading into Forbidden Door for AEW. But this show was not good for AEW. This show was whatever. This just wasn't a good show for AEW. It really wasn't. This show was just it was a mid show for AEW Dynamite. It was just a mid show. That's all it was. It was just a mid overall show for AEW Dynamite. This show wasn't good, man. I wish I could say it was, but it wasn't. This show was not good at all. So let's talk about how AEW Dynamite started off. AEW Dynamite started off with the Death Riders in a segment. I don't like I don't like how AEW opened up Dynamite with the Death Riders. I don't think that was necessary. I don't think the Death Riders really needed a segment here to start off the show for AEW Dynamite. I don't like that. I think AEW Dynamite should have started off with a match instead of a segment with the Death Riders. I don't really like how the Death Riders open the show for AEW Dynamite with a segment. I don't like it. I think AEW Dynamite should always lead off with a match, but that's just my opinion. But then we had the Death Riders versus Brodito and Mystico in a tag team match. This match was just a run of the mill tag match with the Death Riders versus Brodito and Mystico to start off AEW Dynamite. Alright match for what it was. No, I mean, there really wasn't anything to write home about here with this tag match with the Death Riders versus Brodito and Mystico. This was just an alright whatever tag match for what it was. It was just an alright tag match. Nothing really to write home about. The Death Riders ended up picking up the win over Brodito and Mystico to start off AEW Dynamite. This match was just whatever. I mean, it was a whatever tag match to start off the night for AEW Dynamite with the Death Riders versus Brodito and Mystico in a tag match. This match wasn't really all that great. It was just an alright tag match for what it was. It was just okay. And the Death Riders ended up picking up the win over Brodito and Mystico to start off AEW Dynamite in a tag team match that was just basically alright for what it was. And then we had Harley Cameron versus Marina Shafir in a one-on-one women's match. This was a pretty decent one-on-one women's match between Marina Shafir and Harley Cameron on AEW Dynamite. This was an alright one-on-one women's match for what it was. This match was alright. It was fun for what it was. It was enjoyable. It was just a fun one-on-one women's match with Harley Cameron versus Marina Shafir on AEW Dynamite. This match was alright. It did what it had to do. This was just an alright overall one-on-one women's match with Harley Cameron versus Marina Shafir on AEW Dynamite. And Harley Cameron ended up picking up the win over Marina Shafir in a decent one-on-one women's match on AEW Dynamite. And then we have Will Ospreay versus ELP in a one-on-one men's match. This was an alright one-on-one men's match between Will Ospreay and ELP. This match was alright for what it was, which is a decent one-on-one men's match. This match was alright. This match was okay. It was alright for what it was. It was just an alright one-on-one men's match. Really nothing to write home about here. It was an alright one-on-one men's match between Will Ospreay and ELP. This match was alright. It was fun for what it was. And Will Ospreay ended up picking up the win over ELP on AEW Dynamite in a one-on-one men's match. And then we had Swerve Strickland versus Daniel Garcia in a one-on-one men's match. This match was fun overall. I liked this match. It was a fun match between Swerve Strickland and Daniel Garcia on AEW Dynamite. This match was enjoyable. I liked it for what it was, which was a one-on-one men's match between Daniel Garcia and Swerve Strickland. It was an alright one-on-one men's match. Alright for what it was, which was a fun one-on-one men's match between Swerve Strickland and Daniel Garcia on AEW Dynamite in a one-on-one men's match. Fun, enjoyable for what it was. And Swerve Strickland ended up picking up the win over Daniel Garcia on AEW Dynamite in a one-on-one men's match on AEW Dynamite. And then we had the Young Bucks versus TDMK in a tag match. This match was just whatever. I didn't really care for it all that much. It was just a tag match with the Young Bucks versus TDMK. This match was alright. It was it did what it was just a regular tag match. Nothing really to write home about to see here in this tag match with the Young Bucks versus TDMK. This was just an ordinary run-of-the-mill tag match. It was nothing really to write home about here. And the Young Bucks ended up picking up the win over TDMK on AEW Dynamite in a tag match on AEW Dynamite. This match was whatever. It was just your basic ordinary tag match with the Young Bucks versus TDMK on AEW Dynamite, and the Young Bucks ended up picking up the win over TDMK on AEW Dynamite in a tag match. And then we had Queen Aminata versus Red Velvet in a one-on-one women's match. This was probably the best match of the night, in my opinion, on AEW Dynamite. This was a really, really fun one-on-one women's match with Queen Aminata and Red Velvet on AEW Dynamite in a one-on-one women's match. This was probably the best match of the night, in my opinion, on AEW Dynamite. These two women went out there and had a very, very fun match. I enjoyed this match with Red Velvet versus Queen Aminata on AEW Dynamite in a one-on-one women's match. This match was fun, enjoyable. It kept my attention. I really did like this match between Queen Aminata and Red Velvet on AEW Dynamite in this one-on-one women's match. This was probably the best match of the night on AEW Dynamite, with this match between Red Velvet and Queen Aminata in a one-on-one women's match. And Queen Aminata ended up picking up the win over Red Velvet on AEW Dynamite in a banger one-on-one women's match on AEW Dynamite in a one-on-one women's match. Then to close the show, we had Mark Briscoe hitting the J Driller on MJF, and that is the way AEW would go off the show, with MJF and Mark Briscoe brawling, and Mark Briscoe hitting the J Driller on MJF to close the show for AEW Dynamite. The best two things about this show was the Mercedes segment. I really liked the segment with Mercedes Moné. I really did like her segment tonight on AEW Dynamite. And I really did like the match with Queen Aminata and Red Velvet on AEW Dynamite in a one-on-one women's match. Those were the two good things on AEW Dynamite that I did enjoy. overall, this show for AEW Dynamite was mid. I'm going to give AEW Dynamite a 5 out of 10. If you guys like this AEW Dynamite review, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I would really, really appreciate it. That way you guys don't miss out on anything here on my YouTube channel. I would really, really appreciate that. So thank you guys for watching this AEW Dynamite review. I'm going to give AEW Dynamite a 5 out of 10. This show was just very mid for AEW Dynamite. If you guys like this AEW Dynamite review, hit that like button. Hitting that like button on this AEW Dynamite review will help push my YouTube channel through the YouTube algorithm. So anyway, guys, hope you guys enjoyed this AEW Dynamite review. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And thank you guys for watching this AEW Dynamite review. Hope you guys have a good day. I will see you guys back here in a few hours for the TNA review. Until then, your boys up out of here, man. You guys have a good one. Peace out.